Hello friends, how are you today? I'm so excited to be here with you today talking about the Schumann resonance and the energies and human energy as well. These things all tie together, and it's my understanding of energy and human energy in particular that helps me to interpret the Schumann resonance. What is the Schumann resonance? It is a non-physical energy in the air all around us, from the surface of the planet, through the atmosphere. And these resonances are sort of key points within the Hertz range. The Hertz range that these resonances occur within happen to coincide with human brainwaves. And so I will correlate the goings-on with human brainwaves and what might be going on for people in general. But today we're just going to look at broad patterns because that's what I'm seeing in the charts. And the question on my mind, may be the same on yours, there's been a major astrological conjunction. People are really excited and focused on it because it only happens once every 166 years. And that's the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in the sky, which has been occurring the last few days. It went exact on April 12th. And I'm going to give you my take on why the Schumann has not appeared to reflect that. But there's some interesting things going on behind the scenes in the frequency, amplitude, and quality. So I thought that I would show you that too, and then just give you a little quick story time and tell you what's going on with me and some of the new things that I'm going to be offering going forward. I'll do the story time at the end, but what I'm looking at doing for the new year, the natural new year, which has now begun, is, expanding my offerings individually. So I'm going to add some slots for working with clients one-on-one. So if you're interested in a program where we work, weekly, check in on progress, all that kind of stuff, whether it's looking at your energy field, patterns of behavior, etc., that relate to energetics, we can unwind those and look over those. It's a really fascinating process. I also do this with the astrology, looking at the astrology charts and looking at, work areas, soul purpose, what key talents are, key strengths for creating solutions in your life. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. Also, the human energy class has been amazing. We have our last class next week after Easter. And it's just been such a joy and such a great group. Thank you all who's participating. So I'm going to look at doing the basics human energy course again. And then I'm going to kind of go deeper with a second offering, like a second level of the base, past the basics. So that's really exciting. Is that it? That's what I'm looking at. And I'm also ramping up to doing my videos more frequently again and publishing on my Substack after having this illness. And I'll give you an update. On that. It's interesting because I had to take an antiviral drug related to the illness, and recovering from taking the medication is I want to say it's almost more challenging than actually having the illness. But anyway, all right. So let's look at the Schumann resonance right now. So what we see, so we had these big energies, we had these jagged energies in the new year that I did my last video on. Very, very pokey into the field, very much seeming to reach deeply in and touch places in the field and thoughts, emotions, patterns, habits that maybe we don't want to look at, but this kind of energy really brings it to the surface whether we want to or not. So since then, now we've had this kind of calm charting. So here's the current day as for the 15th Saturday, is that Saturday? No, Friday, as I make the video. And then here is through the 11th. So you see here, it's just been like this 1, 2, 3, just days of this repeated. What it's like is it's like a pulse. Because if we go back to the 11th, let's see, the conjunction went direct here. It's really interesting that, I looked at it because I was like, wow, is there going to be anything? And there wasn't. But it's interesting because it's a similar pattern. 1, 2, 3. And there's slight changes. Like, for example, this center part here at 12 hertz grows and, grows, and then grows here. Okay, now it's extending into the area that was more calm. Grows here, and now we have a more solid line. And then now we have these little spiky, colorful lines, right? They're very full of all different kinds of colors. It's almost like a rest period. And here's what I wanted to say. I think that on the Schumann, this is where the conjunction happened. Okay. And this was on March 6th, 7th, 8th. And this is the reverse chart, mirrored chart. I have a video on this a few back. So here's what I think. And this is my sense. I don't have the data to prove this. I don't know how I would get that. But I feel that time can be slightly off with where we're told the planets are at, or the moon even is at, because, even with the full moon and new moon, and I've talked about before, sometimes there's a moon line that it pretty frequently occurs when there's a moon event, like a full moon or a new moon. But sometimes it's like an hour off or an hour and a half off. And it's happened with other events too, with major planetary aspects where there appeared to be like a line or an effect on the Schumann chart. Now, me saying that these things can affect the Schumann chart, that's my take on it. You won't read about that because these are said to be caused by lightning strikes. But here's the thing: the electromagnetics in our atmosphere flexes. The geomagnetics of the atmosphere around the Earth flexes. Okay, all you have to do is look at in my beginner playlist. I have I think what the heck is it? The Schumann resonance, and I show, like, it's a video from NASA where they show the sun emitting a solar flare and the energy from the flare coming out, or maybe it was a CME, and it flexes the magnetic field of the Earth. Well, the Schumann resonance is an electromagnetic energy, so it would make sense that there would be a reflection of some sort, right? Because what the Schumann is, the space in which the cavity, I think that's a terrible word for the atmosphere around the Earth, but that's how, when you look at drawings, that's how they'll say it's the cavity between the surface of the planet and the top of the atmosphere. But anyway, that space is flexing. So it would make sense that the resonance would be affected. So I've mentioned this in my beginner playlist, and I have several videos there. But essentially, with my clairvoyance, I have clairvoyant vision, and I do energy work where I can see grid lines clairvoyantly, etc. And what I've seen is planets, there's these electromagnetic grid lines between the planets and the sun and throughout the solar system. And so when there's a major planetary aspect, what I feel is that these planets will lock into place on a vertex, okay, of one of these grid lines. And to me, that's what a conjunction is, when the planets come together in the sky at the same degree in the wheel around the Earth that represents the astrological wheel that represents where the planets are in relation to Earth in the sky. Anyway, long story short, it's my view, this is my opinion, that when there are major events, that they should affect the Earth, right? The Earth's Schumann resonance. So let's see here. So this is what I think. I think the timing is slightly off. I mean, we're talking about major outer planets, right? Jupiter and Neptune, pretty darn far out there in terms of the solar system from the Earth. And so this occurred March 8th. The effect was recorded according to the astrological ephemeris on April 12th. But the fact of the matter is that, I don't know, what is that, 4 weeks, 5 weeks? So, the planets are pretty far out there. Maybe it makes sense that the effect would have already imprinted, or it already imprints on the human collective before the numerics, right? The data of degrees click together. It occurs first in the human consciousness, and if the human consciousness is represented by the Schumann, then that would certainly make sense. Okay, so that's what I was thinking about that. Now let me show you the black charts here. What I wanted to show you, this is going back through the 11th, so this is earlier in the week. Oh, this is what I want to show you. Not there. Now, what you will see is, so see here, this is, the frequencies are flowing pretty, I'm calling this flowing freely. They're not restricted like before. Okay, so here's, before you had up to a 0.3 restriction in the flow of the red resonance when we had like the walls, right? The walls of Jericho videos that I did. So you can see how much more flowy this is and how wide the range is now. What's interesting, if anything, the yellow is more narrowed a little bit, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. 13.94 up to 14.3. So that's kind of interesting. This is what I wanted to show you. Take a look at this. So you can see here how the amplitudes are flowy, right? They're just kind of moving along here, with the exception of, I don't know what was going on here in the green. But then, do you see how there's like a step up here and all the amplitudes at the same time, and then they all kind of flatten, okay? They all kind of flatten, and from that point where they flatten to, they spike upward. It's like something came in and affected them all at the same time, affected the energy of the Earth. Now, this is on the 13th of April, and the conjunction Tomsk time probably would have been on, it would have been on the 13th. Would it have been? Let's see, it was 7 a.m. Yeah, so maybe it reflects that. I just, I don't know. It's something caused this. I don't know what it was. Okay. And so I thought, my eye exactly went to this because I was like, what did that? And there's nothing you can really see on the chart here, with the exception of some additional vertical lines with a lot of the color in it. And then a lot of these little matrixy-like formations up here. But those are also here. It's really those vertical lines that are the difference, and a little bit more of the yellow resonance in here, or yellow and white. In the qualities, they're all generally low, so there's not a lot to say there, but I wanted to show you here on today's chart. Okay, so this is today's chart to date. In the frequencies, it's pretty flowing. Okay, we've got a little bit of flattening there. I don't know. I don't know what to say yet about the yellow. I'm watching it now. And the qualities are pretty low still, but here's what I wanted to show you. The amplitudes again. Now this is where I was just showing you they stepped up and then flattened and went up from there. But now here in this next pattern, right? Because it's like 1, 2, 3. They suddenly get very spiky, very close together. It's almost like do 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 do, like it's like if it was music or beats, Here, it's more regular, right, and spaced apart. Here, it's emphatic and then coming off of that, spaced apart. But here, it's just really intense. I don't know. Is something coming? Like, is something building in the resonances? I was wondering, with this this line around 12 hertz, 10 to 12 hertz, building up to the white and then the white line, I was wondering if we'd see something more, but we haven't. And now we have all of these spiky vertical lines. That's really the difference here. Look how beautiful they are and all the different colors. So I'm not sure what this means. I'm not sure what these energies represent. Maybe they're the strange energies from space that Cliff High keeps talking about. Maybe they herald, Easter coming on Sunday and the full moon on Sunday. So that's my review. So my review is that, there are these patterns. They're very broad and general right now. And it takes the whole day for it to unfold, okay? And it's been days now. There's slight variations in the patterns. But I think that we already saw the massive major conjunction in the chart. That's what my message is. And I talked a lot on my last video about the meaning of all that. And it was actually it was kind of cool. If you haven't seen that, it's in the inspiration part. Then I just wanted to do a story time right now and let you know, it's been really interesting. So I put out on my social media that, I'd gotten shingles and I'm over that now. It's really interesting. I did a whole energetic analysis of the energetics, the energy of shingles and what I think it means from a spiritual standpoint. So if anyone's interested in hearing about that, I've been thinking about talking about that. But what I really want to talk about right now is the pharmaceuticals. You had to take antivirals. For that. And it's so fascinating now. First of all, I'm not a doctor. I know nothing about the technical stuff about medicine. So these are not medical comments at all. Don't take them that way. And if you do, you're just not very smart because I don't have training in that. Okay. So what I'm sharing now is my personal experience. And my personal experience of the energy. I'm not talking about any medical effects, okay? But energetically, it's been so fascinating what's happened because I noticed, I actually, for shingles, I actually recovered fairly quickly. And had a much milder case than a lot of people that I have, I'm familiar with. And I chalk that up to understanding what the energetics were, and then resolving those within my field. So I also worked with a girlfriend of mine who's a homeopathist, and that's an energetic medicine. So I really love that, and I feel like that really helped. But here's what I wanted to say. As time went on and I was physically feeling better, I was feeling much worse from the medication. And it's really interesting because one of the key things I've noticed is that a major effect of the medication is that I can't feel certain things. It's truly bizarre. Like, for example, I'm very work focused, and I always have been, and I love my work. People will say, oh, what are you doing after this? And I'll say, oh, well, I have to go do my work. I have to work on something. And they'll say, oh, that's too bad. And I go, no, I love doing my work. I love doing this. So, that's a blessing, right? It's a blessing to love what you're working on. But the weird thing is I have not been able to feel that at all. Like I feel zero, and it's really disconcerting. And I feel zero in general around this now. So it's been hard to to get back into doing the videos for that reason, and it's been a little disconcerting because I've never not felt anything like this. But I am blessed that my girlfriend has training in biology, and she's a medical intuitive, and she basically told me it's going to take some time for the effects of the medication to wear off physically from your system. The great thing about this, though, is what I've been doing is creating energetic processes to deal with this. There's another side effect that I wanted to also say that's been really interesting and somewhat disconcerting. I didn't anticipate it, but one of the things that really has been helpful is to engage. I love talking to people about energy, and that I can feel when there's another person there, it's easier for me to kind of get back into it. And so teaching the class has been amazing. My client sessions and then talking with friends has been amazing. So the other side effect has been that what I have determined, and then now what I've done is I've also talked to people that I know who have experience and knowledge about this. This is my view, my personal experience from an energetic viewpoint. What it appeared to do was lower the veils between what I call the third dimension and the fourth dimension. And I'm not kidding. This is some major stuff. It lowers the veils. That's what it seemed like. And it's really interesting because, I hadn't thought about it until this situation came up, but what other product do you buy where you have to pay for the product? Someone just tells you what you're going to buy, which is the doctor. They tell you what you're going to buy. You have to go to the pharmacy. You have to pay for it. You don't get to see it or read the details about it or anything until after it's been given to you and you've already paid. You can't return it at that point. Okay. So when I was telling my girlfriend that I was feeling off, what is going on? Because the shingles feel better, but I feel like it must be something about the medication. And so she had me look at the side effects, and everything that I was feeling was in the side effects. And so this idea about lowering the veils is, I'm just going to make this bigger so I can give us a pretty picture to look at. This idea about lowering the veils is real. And what I found was it not only lowered the veils between dimensions, causing me to have to restate all of my energy parameters very clearly. Because what I realized, when you set energy parameters and then you experience energies in the field that you're well, hey, I set my parameters. How could I have this influence, or how could this come up? It's an invitation, from my perspective, it's an invitation to go back over and look at, okay, where did I give unconscious permission? And that's when I realized, okay, because I experienced the veils lowering, which, as a clairvoyant, that's not a big thing, but I started to have experiences that were not within my energy parameters. So I had to review those parameters, and that's when I realized that it's my view that there was a spell on the medication. So this is a something I've talked about in the last energy class. But there are many hidden spells, okay? And so when you connect with the light that you are, and you walk in that light, filling your body, you're filled with the Christ light, with the light of your soul, choosing consciously to align with the soul that you are. It protects you from these things. But having the understanding that these things are done and are out there, it just gives the mind an understanding so that the mind can then step in and say, oh, remember to do that process, right? Of saying, I do not consent. So that's what I realized. I realized that the list of side effects was essentially, in effect, a list of permissions energetically. Now, some of them are medical side effects, and I don't know anything about that. I'm not commenting on that. I'm commenting on energy. And so there are effects listed that are very subtle, but in the energy body, they're really not subtle. And so I realized that I had to withdraw permission and withdraw consent, and then once again claim back those parts of my energy field. Really just, this is my Virgo at work, my Virgo side at work. So I have several planets in Virgo. So, Virgo is very detail oriented. So I just, going through, every level, every layer, claiming back my energy, claiming it for me. So this has really been an interesting process, and I've completed all of that energetically. But now what I'm working with is the physical body effects, right? So I claim back all my emotions. I claim back all my thoughts. I claim back everything that I am, right? As a body, as a living soul in the body, as a living human being. I claim all this as my souls, right? Me and my soul are one. I claim this as the temple of my soul, for my soul. But what I realized is that there was a physical effect on the body, and I don't understand this. I mean, it would be, fascinating. I'm sure my girlfriend, if I asked her, would go into it for me. But there's some kind of a physical effect here, like I said, where there's some emotions that, even though I've claimed all that back, actually feeling them is like, I guess, the last piece to just latches in. So actually I'm and I think that it could be that doing the action in the physical world, that the feelings start to follow. It opens the gate for those to, for the presence of this to be created and to live in the physical body, the presence of these emotions. It's almost like my emotions feel like they got attacked, like my emotional body, like it got a wound of some sort. And just like when you get a physical wound, right? You might put salve on it, or you put cooling, or you put heat on it, and you massage the muscle, and you do all that to bring it back and restore its form. This just gave me a great idea of a new meditation to do to restore the emotional state and the thought state back to my divine human blueprint. I claim that for myself now as a living soul in a living human body. Bam. Got it. Oh, that feels so good, you guys. Oh my gosh. I'm really grateful for this time that we have together today. I'm grateful for your presence here. And if you're still listening in, I'm shy, I'm shy asking about things for myself, but if you would like to send prayers, I would love to receive that in alignment with, my highest good. So yeah, thank you. I'm coming back from it, and it's going to be good. It's this spiky energy, these incredible vertical spikes. various events, even this event of shingles that happened, it's a blessing because it's given me things to look at. It's giving me new processes. I've created new meditations in the human energy class. It's been a joy. a joy after sorrow and pain, but a joy nonetheless.